Insidious is one of those films where I wish I'd seen it in the cinema because it's good on a laptop screen watching it on Netflix, but there are certain scenes that I feel would have been just so much better on the big screen. Not that I think any film should be only enjoyed on a big screen. Most good films can be enjoyed on any platform, but I've left this feeling like I enjoyed it, but I don't know if I want more. And that's a shame because the only reason I watched this, well, rewatched this was released in 2010. I watched this maybe a couple of years after it came out, and I remember enjoying it, but I never got round to watching any more. I think I might have seen Insidious 2, but definitely none after that. And I realised with the new Insidious film that's out that I never caught up with the series. So I thought I'll go back to the beginning because I couldn't remember too much of it. And I hoped that I would fall in love with this and want to go and binge watch the other films and then ultimately watch the new release. And I've finished watching it thinking I will watch the next one, but if I feel the same way at the end of the next one, I might not continue with it. It's good, but I don't currently feel like there needs to be that many sequels. But when I watch the next one, maybe that opinion will change. This is a horror film, 15 rated, directed by James Wan, written by Whannell, stars Patrick Wilson and Rose Byrne. And they are in their home, and something happens to one of their young boys, and he's in a coma. And then paranormal things begin to happen. And I will say I found it to be brilliant. In maybe the first half of the film, I think it was very suspenseful. Even though not a great deal happened, there was just something hanging in the air. It was thick with the unknown, and because I couldn't remember. I couldn't really remember a lot about this, so I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew the basic premise, of course, but I wasn't aware of when the next jump scare would come. There are a lot of jump scares in this, but I don't feel like it just relies heavily on jump scares. I think it's got a good balance of jump scares, suspenseful horror, that kind of waiting for something to happen when sometimes nothing does happen. And you're kind of left feeling like, oh, okay, nothing happened, I'm safe. And then a couple of minutes later, once that suspense has passed, you're hit with a jump scare, and you're not waiting for it because there was no suspenseful atmosphere, and it comes out of nowhere, and that is so effective, and it does this so well. And I have to absolutely praise it. It's not just jump scares, though. I think the narrative is quite well crafted. However, once the paranormal investigation element kicked in, I didn't like it as much. I'm a spiritualist, so I believe in the afterlife, but not this kind of afterlife. But at the same time, I still find it to be really fascinating and compelling, and I still really enjoyed it. And as long as it's well written, I will like it. And I think for the most part, it was well written. There were a few things that I thought they were maybe throwing in there to try and make it, I don't know, more peculiar, more unpredictable, and some of them worked. Some of them didn't. The scene, how do I describe this without spoiling it? I will leave it for a spoiler warning in a moment, but there was one particular moment that I found to be really eerie, but really well done. And then there were a few things here and there that I thought, well, that just seems like you're padding it out a bit and we don't really need that. So it's not perfect. And there were a few times when I felt like the narrative after the first half wasn't as tight as it could have been. I think it needed a tiny bit of work, but generally it was good. However, as I said, I got to the end of it and thought, I like that, but I don't want more. And had there, well, I don't know, I mean, if there had only just been one more sequel, I'd probably watch it for the sake of watching it, but my intention is to watch all of them, and there are, 5 now, I think? And I'm not really looking forward to all 5 of them if I'm left feeling the same as I was with this one. I feel satisfied, but not hungry for more. Whereas, just by comparison, these films are totally different, but a couple of weeks ago I watched Scream again. I started to watch the Scream films that I hadn't seen, and with each one of those I was desperate to watch the next film, and I was really hoping it would be the same case with Insidious. It isn't. But I will watch the next one, and I'll see how I feel. Hopefully I will want to keep going. if you know the next ones do get better, please feel free, without spoilers, to, let me know, encourage me to keep going, because they must be doing well if they've done that many sequels. Having said that, there are some horror films that just keep going on, even if the ratings are not great. Either way, to sum up, I'll discuss the spoiler in a moment, but to sum up before that, I think it's a great blend of suspense and jump scares. It's very atmospheric. It's quite unpredictable. The acting is great. Acting is fantastic across the board. And I think the narrative is generally well written. Could do with a little bit of work here and there, but ultimately I think it flowed well, it developed well, the pacing was good. There were a few things that we could have taken out and not lost anything, but generally it was pretty intense, and I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. So, just a tiny spoiler, the one bit that I thought was very well done, and it's the scene, I think in the final, kind of near the end of the film, where we're in the front room, but all of the people are dummies, and it was just, I don't know, to me that is scary. And I think for me, the scary films are the ones that can actually happen. Things like Freddy Krueger, Chucky, they don't scare me. I love them, but they don't scare me because they can't happen. But things like Scream and Final Destination could happen. And I think because I'm a spiritualist and have a strong belief that in the afterlife, but not in this kind of afterlife, I don't necessarily buy into it as much, so it's not as scary. But the scene with the dummies, that, if you put me in that room, I would not last very long. It was so well done, and I just, no, thank you, but also, yes, please, in the context of the film. So there were some bits that definitely appealed to me. Some bits needed a bit of work. I will keep going. I'll watch the next one, probably next week, I think. I won't wait too long, because I do want to watch this year's one this year. That's the intention, at least. But we'll see. For now, Insidious is one I would definitely recommend if you're a horror fan, but it's never going to make my top 5 list.